knowing that my experiences, my advice, my support have helped somebody to overcome their challenges, to gain, confidence in themselves and achieve their goals is incredibly, for me, is fulfilling. And it's also
Yeah.
a continuous learning experience for me, as I've mentioned, because his relationship, it teaches me something new. Everybody has something to bring to the table. And it reminds me that power of that human connection, really. I think that is what it is for me as well. That the joy of seeing other people succeed, the joy of knowing that so that it can be said of me as well. Sometimes you might feel like it's from a selfish angle, but it isn't. So that they can say, because of Bami, I was able to do this.
Welcome to the People of Pathology podcast. I'm Dennis Strang. On this podcast, we explore pathology, laboratory medicine, and forensic science. Today, my friend Bami Farinre returns to the podcast, and we're talking about mentorship. Bami has recently published a book titled The Mentor's Journey, From Learning to Leading. The book explores her personal experiences with mentorship and gives practical tips on how to build these relationships. We'll discuss the importance of mentorship, the differences between allyship and sponsorship, and the benefits of being both a mentor and a mentee. Okay, here's my friend, Bami Farinre. So this is your third time on the podcast, and it's been a little while since the last time you were on. And we're not going to go so much through kind of your backstory because we covered that in the
Mhm,
last two episodes you were in, which there were episode 58 and episode 94, if you
mhm.
want to get out of your backstory. So let's kind of start what you're doing now. You recently published a book, which is called The Mentor's Journey. And this is interesting to me. I've been thinking a lot about mentorship lately. So I'm glad we could connect and talk about this. So
Mhm.
tell me about this. Like, how did you decide this was the right time to write this book?
So you see, this book has been like a long time coming. It's been in me ever since I think I started out in my career in STEM as a
Uh-huh.
biomedical scientist. Because one thing I found was the need for a mentor. Then, of course, I didn't identify that that was what it was, because I could have alluded it to something like I just needed someone to do handholding, just to somebody to show me the ropes into how this is what the profession is going to be like, which I didn't have. And so very early on in my career, I'd made sure that I became that, I became like a mentor to men, even though like just for them to have ease of passage, like when it comes to them transitioning and coming into the profession, bearing in mind of how I went about it, I had to navigate myself. It makes it more challenging. It's not like it can't be done, but there's some things that, if it's like it's called information. When you're informed, you're able to make informed decisions. So, which wasn't available to me. I mean, don't get me wrong, there were mentors out there, but they were not visible to me. I didn't have access to them, not immediately like that. Some people may argue that, oh boy, you had your trainers, you had your managers, you had people that are in the same profession, but it's not the same, not necessarily, because you're there to do a job. So they don't necessarily say to you that, oh, this person is going to mentor you. They're there to actually just teach you the job and you get on with it, which is different
Hmm.
from somebody that is starting, trying to navigate, find out how it is, how to settle, the do's and the don'ts. There's so many
Right.
things when it comes to starting your career. So this book has really been in me. And also I grew up in a community, in a culture where mentorship is intrinsic, is inbuilt, is not defined. So I mean, now definitely they're talking more about mentorship, but when I was growing up, it wasn't a word that I was used to, not as
Okay.
such, but it was more in the actions. Because in my community, people is like a network. So when you're growing up, it's not just your parents that look out for you. Other people as well, the people within the community, uncles, aunties, like the neighbors and things like that. So they're interested in your education, in the values, like the respect, the things. So like, so those are the foundation of mentorship. It's just, you cannot do it. And also as the eldest child as well, it was like a sort of responsibility. So in a way, I was mentoring my siblings, my younger ones, because they're looking up to me. I had a responsibility to them. So in my culture is a way of, if you are the eldest, they feel like the ones after you are emulating you. So you're setting a pace. You're like a pace setter to those behind you. So then this is the right time was because I'm heavily involved in mentorship. I'm so passionate about it, especially when I see there's a need for it. I think people might say that, oh, the word is overused. It's not. Through mentorship, that's how we motivate, we encourage and develop the future leaders. Because if we're not like passing on knowledge and letting down the rope, how are we going to build the leaders of tomorrow? So the book is from my personal experiences and growing up in a community in Nigeria and then migrating to the UK, seeing the different cultures, systems, and how things are done, and also my experiences, the challenges that I've faced, and then that turn into a book for others to learn from. Like that, okay, why not? So that's why I said from learning to leading, because I learned it then I started leading and I'm, bringing others along the way as well and making a change, really.
You go through a lot of that in the book, and I think previously when you were on the podcast, we talked about some of the stories, especially about like your grandmother and your parents that you talk about in this book. So the book that is part it's part instructional, how to be a mentor or how to be a mentee even, but it's also part autobiographical, which you were kind of saying. Why did you want to write it like this way, to use sort of examples from your own life?
I want it to be relatable.
Okay.
I wanted it to be relatable. I want people to see that because, sometimes people might be like, oh, yeah, it just it happens to her. Well, I wanted to be able to see that, hey, look, it can happen. This is my experience. So peradventure, you are going through the same. This is how I journey through it. This is from my lenses. So from my lenses, you might be able to pick up one or two things. That was why I wrote it from that perspective. And also I found, funny enough, when I wrote the book, I've read too many books on mentorship. That was just one passion that I had that I wanted to pour out there. And I wanted to take it from a perspective of somebody that didn't know what mentorship was all about to then being a mentor and a role model, and an
Mhm.
ambassador in the field to make noise about it, to make others know about it, to encourage others to come and be mentors, to be visible. So that was why I decided in that way. And if you see a lot of books or resources that are out there, they talk more on the organization aspect of it. They talk
Yeah.
more on the corporate side of things, but not on the personal level, because that is the way people come in. You'll be amazed, even though on corporate level, mentorship is being talked about, people still don't have access to it. So they know that they don't necessarily need to wait within the organization itself, which a lot of people don't have. And like, for example, in biomedical science, unless you seek for mentors yourself, it's even just now that even our profession, like our professional body, the Institute of Biomedical Science, I think, I'm not sure how many years, because I know I'm a mentor on the IBMS mentoring scheme, that they're
Mhm.
encouraging those that are practicing, that have been in the career for some years, that have got the experience, to then encourage and mentor those that are coming or that are aspiring to come into the profession. So that was the way I thought. If they're able to see from a personal and cultural as well, because it is cultural for somebody growing up in my kind of community that I say I grew up in. And
Yeah.
yeah, so that was the reason why I wrote it that way. And it was like a dialogue as well. I wanted it to be like they're having a conversation so that it's easier. So from like experiences, maybe from all the different speaking engagement that I've been, career activities where I've been to go and speak to students within the school and things like that. So that these are the kind of conversations we have, the kind of questions that they ask, and it was easier that way.
Okay, I like that a lot, and it does come across as a dialogue, and it is relatable because you use examples from your own life and obstacles that you had to overcome, and it becomes one of those things like, well, okay, everybody's got these kind of obstacles, maybe that they're different in some ways, but you overcome them and you show how you did it
Mhm.
and how other people can do it too. So I like that aspect a lot.
Thank you.
I mentioned your grandmother early on, and you write about this in the book, and we've talked about it before, how she was an early mentor for you. Can you briefly talk about your grandmother and how she inspired you?
Yeah. You see, my grandma, she wasn't learned, so she wasn't educated. But you would think that she was educated. The way she brought us up. When we have assignment from school, she'd be like, have you done your assignment? Have you done? She does not even know the topic. She does not even know what it is that we're doing. She just wants to know that we're learning. She just wants to know that we're doing what we're supposed to do. And then, she was part of the people that when it comes to attending extra tutoring, she will make sure that, I'm able to attend. Like if there's any chores that we're doing at the point in time, just that was prioritized, basically. Education was prioritized. I think it was coming from like, if I'm not educating my children or my grandkids, she was responsible for my dad's education. She made sure that, my dad went through university, graduated, got a very good job. So she was instrumental in that sense. And one thing that I can never forget is the fact that she did take me to graduation ceremonies. I still vividly remember she took me on, at least I can count on my fingers, up to about 3 or 4, of people graduating. And she always tell me, she said, this is going to be you one day. She calls me Dene because my full name is Bami Dene, so but she calls me Dene. She said, Dene, this is the words that she said, this is gonna be you one day. You have to face your studies. You have to do this, you have to do that, or you have to be serious, you have to work hard. So, those were the early days. And then of course, as kids, you wouldn't know like what she's talking about. Not necessarily anyway. It's now when I'm grown and I'm like, oh my day, especially when I had my first graduation. A
Hmm.
word came, like a flashing back to me, like my grandma said this. My parents, of course, were involved as well, but because I lived with her for a number of years, that was the role that she played in my life. And then she made sure that even like that I was responsible for my siblings as well, like to help them. Funny enough, as a result of that, I ended up doing like tutoring lessons to like cousins and people
Hmm.
within the community. It's not like I was that brilliant, but the little I know, I was passing knowledge. So that was from a very early age form. I'm talking about when I was like 9, 10, 11 years old
Okay.
being like that. So I think me then finding myself as a mentor, as a role model, and as a STEM ambassador, I think it shouldn't be a surprise to me because it's something, but it's just like something you just do naturally. You just think it's just one of those things because you see a need that you want to make a change, you want to impact the community around you.
So this was something that, like you said, it came to you naturally as at an early age, and you still pursue it now to this day to be to mentor people in STEM fields.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Now, in the book, you because people always the advice is like, okay, if you want to get into whatever career it is, find yourself a mentor, and it's like, okay, great. How do I do that? In the book, you list some practical steps of how to establish this mentor-mentee relationship.
Mhm.
And I wonder if we can go through some of those, give some tips maybe for the listeners.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, I think one has to understand why they need a mentor because it's not about, oh, somebody said I need a mentor, I need a mentor. You need to identify your needs before you
Uh-huh.
even seek a mentor. It's important to be clear about what you're looking to achieve. So you need to establish your goals in how can the mentor help you. On establishing that, it is important, of course, to do your research. You need to find somebody that aligns with your goals. It's
Hmm.
like I always use biomedical science as an example, but I'm going to collectively say STEM because I have experience in technology world as well. So I could say that if somebody wants to enter the profession as a healthcare scientist, a biomedical scientist, or someone within the tech kind of roles, I can actually help them. But so that person would definitely come to me as a mentee, knowing that I have the experience or I have the knowledge of what they're seeking. So they will do the research to say, oh, they have the expertise in this area that they want to grow in. Bearing in mind, I mentioned in the book as well that mentorship, like it can be for personal or professional reasons. Somebody
Yeah.
can just simply want to develop their communication skills or they have fear of speaking in public. So sometimes it's just something as small as that or as career changing. They want to change from one career to another. How do they do that transition? And then it's really important to build a connection because you need to stay engaged with your potential mentor through like you have to go through networking events. You have to be intentional and accountable and make like mutual because you need to put in the work. And then
Okay.
when approaching a mentor, it's really important to be specific about the reason why. I have a lot of mentees that when they come, they know why they're coming. It's because they see, especially in the biomedical science space, they say like Bami is a leader in the space. I'm trying to do this. Bami already did it. That's why I said that book is relatable. When people have seen that, okay, I'm having this challenge right now. This person has been there, done that. They may be able to tell me. And it doesn't mean that the mentor has all the answers.
Hmm.
In essence, a lot of the times is a two-way street. The mentor happens to be the mentee sometimes because they can learn from their mentor and vice versa. And it's so important also to commit to the relationship because somebody cannot be giving their time to you and you're not making that effort. So that respect, gratitude, and that willingness to learn is really key.
Okay. Something you mentioned a couple of times of building a relationship, and that takes time to do. Some people think they're going to find a mentor and ask them for whatever it is they need, and that's going to be it. But I think kind of the message, one of the messages in the book is you've got to build a relationship, and it takes time, right?
Yes, it does take time. You have to nurture it.
Hmm.
The relationship can't just end once you get what you need. Of course, mentorship can be structured in the sense
Okay.
that some people they just need something now. Someone it might be they just want to prepare for an interview. They're going through a phase of they applying for jobs. So it may just be for a period of like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It depends on how long they're looking for jobs. Or somebody that's looking to transition into a career would need a different level of support. So yeah, you have to nurture, and then you cannot take for granted the time that's been given to you. Bear in mind, you're not getting paid.
Right.
In as much as yes, the mentor might be learning from you, they're developing their relationship skills, their communication skills, leadership skills. At this, it's a two-way relationship.
Okay. So we've got it's a two-way relationship. Like you just said, you've got to understand what your goals are and what you're hoping to get out of the
Yes,
relationship,
yes.
nurturing the relationship. Oh, what else?
Well, so would that if let's say would that be from the perspective of the mentor or the perspective of the mentee
I guess I was thinking more from the perspective of the mentee.
of the mentee? What
Yeah.
you have to be able to then do. That's where accountability comes in.
Okay.
Because imagine like we set goals. So when we meet, we would have established, okay, we can meet, we'll meet once a week or however long, for however long, let's say 20 minutes.
Okay.
You have to respect my time. Likewise, as I will respect yours. In the event you're not able to make it or for whatever reason, you let me know. So it's about, respect as well. And it's about accountability as well. If we set goals, you are, because the success of it, the beauty is when you succeed. When I'm saying, when as a mentor, when I'm giving out ideas, I'm giving out, I'm signposting you and giving out resources, the least you could do is actually do your part.
Mm.
As a mentee, it's really important. You'll be amazed at how you as a mentor sometimes is the one chasing the mentee, which,
Oh,
oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
really?
And initially they're the one that's come to you, but you end up chasing them up. Maybe along the way and that could happen. That's why as a mentor, it's important to be attentive. You need to be able have a very good listening ears. You have to be empathetic. But at the
Okay.
same time, you have to be proactive, and the mentee as well likely have to be proactive when it comes to, because it's for a period of time. The mentor is not doing for you. They're guiding you in how, so that you yourself can be a leader. You can go away as well and be a mentor to others.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing, right? You're getting mentored. You're a mentee for someone in order not only to advance your own career, but to pass that on,
That's
right? To
right.
become a mentor to
Mhm.
somebody else. That's the idea.
That's the idea. And that's why I always tell my mentees, you're not just gonna do this and it ends there. No, you need to pass on the knowledge. You need to help somebody
Hmm.
else as well. And it keeps going. The chain is ongoing.
Right. Right. Okay. And that's a very strong theme, I think, throughout the book.
Yes,
I want to talk about a concept that you bring up in the book, and that's emotional intelligence. And in the context of mentorship, what does emotional intelligence mean? And then I want to talk about like how does this apply into mentoring relationships?
Well, when it comes to emotional intelligence with regards to mentorship, is the ability to really recognize and manage emotions, manage expectation, and while understanding as well, like the impact that your expectation, that your emotions can have on others. So, as a mentor, when it comes to in mentorship, emotional intelligence is about being empathetic, like I said, active listening, creating like a safe space for open dialogue, the confidentiality. As a mentor that has an excellent emotional intelligence, you're able to provide constructive feedback to your mentee. And in the same manner, the mentee should be able to provide feedback to the mentor as well, because you have this review period where you find out whether the mentorship is working or not. So when I talk about constructive feedback, you'll be able to provide this either way without discouraging either the mentee or the mentor, so that we're able to navigate sensitive conversation. Like I mentioned earlier, imagine I give a time for us to meet and my mentee doesn't turn up. I'm going to be upset. But then I have to think about it. If it was, let's say it was the first time, then I have to think about maybe something happened. I mean,
Hmm.
let's say we've even met before, and then maybe down the line, maybe the second or third meeting, they consistent delay. Before I start saying, oh, you know what, this is not working, I need to understand what is going on. Are you having issues at work? Are you having issues at home? What is it that is not? Should we prioritize? Should we you reschedule? You understand, so that we know that this time is convenient for both parties. But
Hmm.
if it's not consistently that they know, then of course there has to be a way to draw the line. And emotional intelligence is really vital for like building trust and fostering relationship, which will then promote the growth and mutual respect between both parties.
Okay.
Yeah.
I a lot of this sounds like just mutual respect,
Yes.
respect for each other and for the process of mentorship, right? Does that make sense?
Does, yes, it is. And that's what it is really. You have respect for each other. But
Yeah.
you must have thought highly of me in the first place to approach me as a mentor.
Hmm.
And then also, I must have respect for you as a mentee as well, that you actually thought of me, that you feel, that means you saw value in me as a mentee, to feel like I can mentor you to get you to the next stage, to the next phase, whatever it may be in your profession or in your personal life. So absolutely, it is about that mutual responsibility, that mutual respect. It's a
Hmm.
sense of responsibility. You have to be intentional.
Okay.
Life happens, but don't take advantage.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that
That
that's
makes sense.
that's the way it works.
Hmm.
Because
Okay.
I want to see my mentee thrive, and I can tell you many stories of all the mentee mentor relationship that I've had. Most of them have been successful, but we've had some that it just hasn't worked out. Not because we don't want it to, but because life happens. Maybe they're not able to continue. Maybe, at that point in time, it's just not the right time for them, even though they've approached you. One has to respect that. And then you can always try again if you have the time. So, yeah.
This is the People of Pathology podcast with our guest, Bami Farinre. We'll be right back. If you think it would be nice to have a helpful reference about digital pathology, I have some great news for you. Dr. Alexander Zhurov has written a book called Digital Pathology 101. All you need to know to start and continue your digital pathology journey. This book will help you whether you're a complete novice or a digital pathology trailblazer. You can get a copy of it by following the link in the show notes. LabVine is an interactive online learning platform where laboratory professionals learn, develop, and discover by sharing knowledge and building on each other's experience. The platform provides global access to internationally accredited laboratory-specific courses and other resources developed by lab specialists, like us, for the laboratory industry. LabVine is free to sign up, and you can use the link in the show notes to get started. Now back to Bami Farinre on the People of Pathology podcast. A couple things you bring up in the book, and I want to talk about them because I think they're both important. So this is the difference between allyship and sponsorship. And the way you explain it is, I've never heard it this way before. So Can you talk about this? Like, what's the difference between these two?
So when we speak of allyship, we use this a lot when it comes to like in the workspace, like maybe more of men, supporting women or women supporting men.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's about standing like in solidarity with somebody. You advocate for their inclusion. When somebody is
Okay.
an ally, you have something, there's a sort of connection, isn't it, when it comes to allyship? You're fighting for the same thing or same interest, same vision, same goal. So you then use your voice as an ally to support your ally. So, like, the two of us now, actually, let me use that as an example. We are allies. And the reason why we're allies is because you are amplifying my voice. I have a story to tell. Yeah. And you're providing the platform for me. You're creating a space for me to have a voice to speak so that other people can learn from what we are talking about right now. That is an example of allyship. When it
Okay.
comes to sponsorship, it takes a step further. So, like a sponsor actively, they will use their influence. So, how you can then be a sponsor, you're an ally, and you can also be a sponsor is, for example, let's say you know of other podcasts, or and then you say, "Oh, Bobby, this will be very interesting. I think you should do this because you've experienced me. We've had a relationship. You understand my values. I understand your values, and you're thinking I can go a step further." In the same manner, I can be a sponsor to my mentees as well. I've been an ally. So for my mentees, I will go beyond just mentoring them and opening spaces for them. So let's say a job opportunity come in my workplace and I feel that they may be a good fit. I will let them know. Or I will take them to places like networking event, or at least let them know if they're not able to go with me. So I'm speaking of them in rooms. I'm mentioning their names in rooms where they will not necessarily be in. So as a sponsor, you use your position of influence to create opportunities for someone else. And last, I'll say that, whether you're recommending them for promotion, introducing them to stakeholders, that if you may help them, just advocating for them in places that matters. So that's
Okay.
simply, yeah.
So then, as a mentor, how do you? Because it sounds like sponsorship then is probably more valuable, but also more work for the mentor.
It,
And how do you balance? I'm not even sure how to phrase this. Like, how much work are you going to put in to help sponsor someone to push their name
yeah.
forward, that kind of thing?
This thing is synergy,
Okay.
is what I'm getting out. If my mentee is giving me all and I feel like they want it, they're hungry for it. Because you
Uh-huh.
wouldn't want to recommend somebody that's going to disappoint you.
Okay.
So when,
Because that looks bad for you.
yeah.
Okay.
So you feel like, yeah, this person is ready. Because and it's all about relationships. Is relationship.
Hmm.
Because what you've built as a mentor, you've built your network over the years. So you have to be mindful of those that you allow into the space. That is where that mutual accountability, intentionality from the mentee side really matters. Because you cannot introduce them to a space and they do not perform.
Okay.
You understand? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yes, sponsorship, it is going further. But for you to go further for somebody, they've got something to bring to the table. They're
Okay.
adding value. So, and it's not every mentee that you go that mile for. That is just how it is. It's not every mentee. It depends. If they ask it, if they seek it, and it's within your reach as well as a mentor, then you become the sponsor because
Okay.
you are in that space of influence at that point in time.
Okay.
Yep.
I
So
see.
it's the same in the workplace. We have people that are sponsors. So
Hmm.
in management, you have people that potentially could be sponsors. And how can they be sponsors when positions open up? They will speak of you in the role. like a form of recommendation because they've seen your work, they've seen your commitment. So that's how. Yes, it can be much, but I wouldn't say it is really if you're getting back, like I said, that saying the commitment from the mentee, then
Hmm.
you wouldn't mind doing that because you're actually helping them to further. It makes it easier for them really to achieve their goals.
Okay. Okay. So far, we've been talking about the benefits to the mentee of this relationship, but, and you list in the books some the benefits to the mentor from the relationship also. Let's get into some of these. If you're a mentor for someone, what do you get out of it?
As a mentor, it's not just about giving. I think I've mentioned earlier on, like, it's a reciprocal relationship. I can use myself as an example. As a mentor, I gain like so much from my mentees.
Hmm.
That is where, in essence, actually, reverse mentorship comes to play.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this. What is this?
So that reverse mentorship is more or less where somebody has like more knowledge in a specific area of things. The reverse way, sometimes it might be the younger one, the younger generation mentoring the older generation. Why did I say this is in some ways reverse mentorship? Because you're learning from your mentee, for example, maybe about communicating. Because when you're speaking to them, you need to be able to communicate effectively for them to gain from you. So as a mentor, you often get like a fresh perspective from your mentees, especially like when it comes to like, like when you've guided them to succeed, then you're like, oh, I've got this in me. Oh, so I can do this, so I can do that. So because sometimes when you're doing your job, you just do your job. But when you start mentoring, you start reflecting as a mentor.
Okay.
And as a mentor, it sharpens your leadership skills. I've mentioned about communication, empathy, listening skills. And what you gain as well, a sense of fulfillment, a sense of satisfaction. That is it.
Okay.
Because especially when your mentee, when they succeed, there is joy that comes with it.
Yep.
Nothing beats it. That means you're doing something right.
Hmm.
And I mean, for me, I have so many testimonials like mentoring has definitely enriched my life, in countless ways to help me to grow both personally and professionally.
Yeah. I mean, I've done some mentoring, certainly not to the degree that you have, but it is satisfying when you help someone to achieve their goals.
Hmm.
And not only that, but to, because you and I have been in the field for a while, and
Hmm.
we've made all the mistakes there are to make
Exactly.
and overcome the obstacles and all those things. And it's satisfying to help someone else not make the same mistakes.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Hmm. Oh, it does help. I'm telling you, I say this every time. I always say, if I knew what most of what I'm teaching people now, what I'm teaching others now. When I
Hmm.
started in the career, I'm telling you, I probably would have made like some sort of different decisions in the things, or maybe where I am now, I probably would have gone further than that
Hmm.
because I have information. Like
Right.
I'll give you an example. When we were in uni, I didn't even know what kind of career I was going to end up doing. I just did biomedical science, but I wasn't sure what kind of career pathway I was going to follow. And
Right.
that's where I talk about that mentorship. Yes, we had careers there, but they didn't. The right information is key, and it's not even just any information. The right information is key, and that is what we are doing that's what I am doing when it comes. Because, like you said yourself, as though we've been in the field, so we can say, oh, don't do it this way. In my time, this is what I did. You could do it better. You could find a better way to do it. Oh, you don't have to go through that. Oh, there's a better. So that's how it should be. Constantly improving. That is how it should, that is how, it should be when it comes to personal knowledge. It's the same. We call it like preceptorship, preparing the future generation.
Right.
Yeah. So, but it's just about that, creating that awareness, letting them know, then they can make the decisions based on the information that is available to them.
Okay. I want to go back to reverse mentorship because there's a kind of an example that you give in the book is about like the younger mentee sort of teaching the, I guess, older mentor things about technology, for example.
Yes.
And I want to talk about this because this has happened to me. So you've got someone younger who's teaching you how to use, whatever the newest app or
Mhm.
something is, and this can be really useful. This is something that really valuable that I think a mentor can get out of this relationship.
Certainly. If you know so many things I've learned from my mentees, especially
Hmm.
when it comes to technology, because
Yeah.
that's the era. This is the era now, of technology and it's constantly evolving. So they are more in, how do you say it? They're savvy, they tech
Yeah.
savvy. So they know it. So if that, which means even though like I'm trying to teach them something and they're telling me, oh, you could do it this way, you could use this tool, you could use this tool. So that's me gaining from them. And I can go back and say, did you know? I can go back to my organization or to my workplace and say, I learned this today. And even
Hmm.
then still pass on that knowledge. So it is really important, especially now, that we have all the different generations. They have, and then we're now going into the Gen Z, Gen Y, Alpha now. How
Right.
how they're trained, what they know, it's so different. And so it's really like important. For example, I could give an example for in a workplace where you've been used to working in a certain way. And then you have somebody come in and say, oh, we could do it better. It might not even just be anything too complicated. It might just be something so simple, but it's innovation because sometimes when we think of innovation, we're thinking of something big, something so complicated that. But it's as simple as maybe just changing our way of working, just tweaking this and that and making it the smoother, working smarter and smarter for ourselves. So
Hmm.
when it comes to revert, I feel it's really important. You cannot disregard knowledge, really. That's the key word for it. Not to just because you've been in the discipline or in the field for years, they're coming with a fresh eye. They're coming with, why are we doing this? This is so arcade. They want to do something different. So yeah, that's why that is really important.
And definitely a good benefit, I think, for both parties in the relationship.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So I want to end with let's get back to your own life, and this is kind of a, I guess, a, I don't know, a philosophical question maybe, but in your own life, in your own experience, for you, what has been the most rewarding thing about being a mentor? If you could boil it down to one thing.
I think is seeing the growth and the success of those that have had the privilege to guide. I mean, I think nothing beats it. Nothing beats it. I,
Yeah.
I derive that joy from getting calls from my mentees. Oh, Bami, I got that job. Oh, Bami, I did that thing. And sometimes all they just need is even like just encouragement.
Hmm.
Maybe they want to go for something. And I'm like, oh, I don't think I'm ready. And all you just say, what do you mean you're not ready? You do this, so, and so. You charge them up and they go and just become. I mean, knowing that my experiences, my advice, my support have helped somebody to overcome their challenges, to gain, confidence in themselves and achieve their goals is incredibly, for me, is fulfilling. And it's also
Yeah.
a continuous learning experience for me, as I've mentioned, because each relationship, it teaches me something new. Everybody has something to bring to the table. And it reminds me that power of that human connection, really. I think that is what it is for me as well, that the joy of seeing other people succeed, the joy of knowing that so that it can be said of me as well. Sometimes you might feel like it's from a selfish angle, but it isn't. So that they can say, because of Bami, I was able to do this. It's a,
Yeah.
it's a legacy. If for those that have gone beyond before us, the pioneers before us, if they hadn't done that, we wouldn't know what we know now. So it's something I take pride in it to be able to, even though it is challenging, don't get me wrong, yeah, and you have to
Sure.
find the balance. You have to find that balance, like that you don't burn out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I find it like really fulfilling, and especially when those that you've mentored, then go and mentor others, or they call you and they say, "Oh, somebody else from my help, and I'm putting them through," and you're like, "Okay, this is really good."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
absolutely.
can I can see that yeah, that's got to be super rewarding to watch them pass on what you've taught them.
Mhm, mhm,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's great. Great.
Lovely.
All right. Bammy, I mean, as always, you're a super interesting guest. I love having you on. and I'm glad we got a chance to talk about your book.
Thank
Is before we wrap up, was there anything else that you wanted to mention that I didn't ask you?
No, no, not really. But I would just say, whoever is listening, you can get the book. The book is it's available on Amazon. It's
Uh-huh.
the mentor's journey from learning to leading. You just never know. Funny enough, actually, I have gotten a lot of there's this thing called T level in where like T level education, where like
Okay.
I'm doing like collaboration with T level educators. This like since ages 16 to 19 years old, and continuing education just to educate them about careers in STEM, in biomedical science, and all that. So that's a kind of resource that they could go into because some of them they're interested in writing.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
they're interested in writing. So they're like, oh, but I mean, how can we do this? So if they is initially like just read the book, that would give them like a baseline, like as a starting point of what is mentorship? What does it mean? Especially for the younger generation out there. And also there is this space that I have on LinkedIn, the LinkedIn hub. It's called BAM space, no ceiling. So that no ceiling, I'll just round up with that. It's something that is always baffled me because when we speak a lot, we'll be like, oh, we're constantly shattering shit and ceilings. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
what? That is tiring. Why are we always, having to break barriers, shatter ceilings, especially as, probably women in STEM, Black women in STEM, even men as well, because don't get me wrong, men and women alike, they have their challenges in the professional space.
Mhm.
So that was just a way of saying that we are together, we can achieve much. There is support in community, in network. And just to say, just to speak about inclusion, diversity, to know that look, mentorship is not for just like a certain group of people.
Mhm.
So like so that we know that representation matters. And that is one of the reasons for the book as well, that sense of visibility, representation. So like people can say, oh, Bami. Oh, I haven't seen somebody, especially or a woman, who speak about mentorship not in this sort of way. And I've had a lot of very good feedback with regards to the angle with which I've written the book, which is really good. I'm sorry
Yeah.
enough, I'm not even giving you there's something I'm working on because I believe that leadership starts from young age. So this same book that I've written for this book that I've written now, it's for the older ones that they can understand. But there's one that is in development, a project that is working on the way for the younger ones, from babies
Oh,
up.
okay.
And it does mention mentorship as well, but in a language that they can understand. Because I feel like so nobody's excluded.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, that they and when it comes to career options, then choosing what you want to do, you start from a very early age. So when you start teaching the younger ones about this thing from early age and they understand, it puts them in a better position really when they start making that decisions about their career path and their personal lives.
Okay. I love it. I look forward to your next book then. It's always a pleasure to talk with you, my friend, and I love your message. It's so positive and it's so needed, these days. So, Bami Farinre, as always, thank you.
No, thank you for having me. It's really amazing that you've provided this platform, for visibility. Thank you for all you do. And I'm always happy to be on board. Thank you very much.
If you're looking for another episode of the People of Pathology podcast to check out after this one, here's a clip from the first time Bami was on the podcast as we talk about one of her many mentorship activities. One of the organizations you work with is called Inspiring the Future.
Mhm.
So tell me about this organization. How did you get involved with it?
So this organization, you could say speaks for itself, inspiring the future. I think I got to join the organization because I was thinking in what way can I actually contribute to my community because I definitely know, and it was born out of me looking for role models. I can tell you when during my days, like at the beginning of my career, there wasn't many people to talk to. There was no mentors. There were no role models that I could actually relate with. So it made it a bit difficult with regards to making that decision as to, okay, which discipline do I go to? Most of the thing the decisions that were made were just like 1 hour probably reading and just going with your instinct more or less. So I thought, how can I actually change this? They say if you want to change, let the change start with you. So I decided I want to be a change agent for what I didn't see or what I didn't I wasn't able to get help with, that I would like to help others. That was why I joined this. And I mean, like I said, the name of the organization, Inspiring the Future, is just what it is. Inspiring the future generation of scientists, not just scientists, of young people out there that haven't made up their mind with regards to what careers they can go into.
You can hear the rest of this conversation with Bami Farinre in episode 58. All right, so big thanks to Bami Farinre. It's always a pleasure to chat with her. This topic has been on my mind a lot lately, so this was a great opportunity to talk about it. Bami's book is called The Mentor's Journey, From Learning to Leading. It explores the significance of mentorship through a blend of personal stories and practical advice. Some of the stories show how mentorship can come from virtually anywhere, like family members or teachers. Bami shared her journey from her upbringing in Nigeria to a biomedical scientist and mentor in the UK, emphasizing the importance of mentorship in her career and personal life. She discussed how her upbringing in a community where mentorship was a natural way of life shaped her passion for guiding others. Her book is designed to be relatable, using examples from her own life to illustrate the impact of mentorship. We explored the dual nature of her book, which serves as both an instructional guide on mentorship and also an autobiographical account of her experiences. Bami explained her decision to write the book in this format was to make it more engaging and relatable for readers. There is a lot of practical advice in this book, and I wanted to cover some of that in this episode. So let's recap some of the takeaways. Bami stressed the importance of understanding one's goals, doing thorough research to find the right mentor, and building a meaningful, respectful relationship. She also highlighted the concept of emotional intelligence in mentorship, and we talked about what that means in this context and how it helps to foster this relationship. Because when you boil it down, mentorship is about creating a relationship, and this doesn't happen overnight. Building this relationship, like any good relationship, takes time, and the relationship goes both ways. Mentorship is often perceived as a one-way street where experienced individuals guide those who are less experienced. But as Bami mentioned, this relationship is far more reciprocal than it may initially appear. Both mentors and mentees derive significant benefit from the relationship, contributing to personal and professional growth for both people. For example, the mentee receives guidance, support, and insights that can help them navigate their career paths more effectively. This guidance often comes in the form of advice on avoiding common pitfalls and making informed decisions. Bami shared a few stories of how she has done this. It's like, here are the mistakes that I made, so you don't have to make them too. We talked about the importance of providing the right information to mentees, information many of us wish we had had access to earlier in our careers. I could definitely relate to that one. By sharing their experiences, mentors can help mentees bypass obstacles and accelerate their journey toward success, ultimately leading to a more fulfilling career. Mentorship fosters a sense of self-confidence in mentees. When mentors take the time to invest in their growth, it validates the mentee's potential and encourages them to pursue their goals with greater determination. As mentors advocate for mentees in professional settings, they help create opportunities that might not have been available otherwise. This sponsorship aspect of mentorship is crucial, as it can significantly impact mentees' career trajectory. Now, what does the mentor get out of this relationship? Well, mentors can experience considerable rewards from their role. One benefit that I want to highlight is where mentors gain fresh perspectives and insights from their mentees. Bami calls this reverse mentorship. This allows mentors to learn about new trends, technologies, and communication styles, particularly from younger generations. Such insights can be invaluable in today's rapidly evolving workplace, where adaptability is key to success. And if I'm being honest, I know I've experienced this too. Additionally, mentoring sharpens a mentor's leadership skills. Through their interactions with mentees, mentors enhance their communication, empathy, and listening abilities. These skills are essential not only for effective mentorship, but also for overall professional success. The sense of fulfillment that comes from witnessing a mentee's growth and achievement is huge. It validates the mentor's own capabilities and contributions to the field. There are few things that give you as much joy as watching someone that you mentored grow and succeed. Also, mentorship encourages reflection and personal growth for the mentor. As they guide others, mentors often find themselves reassessing their own experiences and decisions. This process of reflection can lead to new insights about their own careers and goals. By participating in mentorship, mentors are not only contributing to the development of others, but are also on a path of continuous improvement themselves. Mentorship is powerful in shaping the success of future leaders. As highlighted in this episode, it is a multifaceted relationship that nurtures growth, fosters resilience, and builds a sense of community. By sharing their experiences and insights, mentors contribute to the personal and professional development of their mentees, while at the same time benefiting from the relationship themselves. As we look to the future, it's clear that investing in mentorship is essential for cultivating the laboratory leaders of tomorrow, ensuring that they are equipped to navigate the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. Bami's book, The Mentor's Journey from Learning to Leading, is available on Amazon and is a comprehensive guide for both mentors and mentees. As always, it was a pleasure to have Bami on the podcast, and I look forward to her future projects, including a new book aimed at younger audiences. Her positive message and dedication to mentorship are truly inspiring. As always, I'll have links in the show notes to everything that we talked about today, including a link to Bami's book. Don't forget you can follow this show on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at People of Path, or just connect with me on LinkedIn. Thank you for continuing to share the show with others. Together, let's inspire the next generation of pathologists and laboratory professionals. This show is a member of Health Podcast Network. Thanks for listening. I'm Dennis Strank, and I'll talk to you next time on the People of Pathology podcast.